Hey, what's up, guys? Khordmaster here. So, I had a really, really great conversation with the developer of Koala Sampler, Marek. It was the second time that I invited him to be a guest on my platform, and it went really well. We talked about the future of Koala. We talked about how he handles feature updates and feature requests. He also shared some tips on some hidden features that I certainly didn't know about with the app. So, enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys later. So, Mark, first and foremost, thank you, first of all, for being my one of my first second time guests. I've had one other person on twice, so this
hmm
is a rarefied air here. I have to ask, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock in London. It's nice and sunny outside. Yeah, so it's pretty
Nice.
pretty good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So the biggest update in my life, I have a daughter now since our last
Oh, what?
conversation. So that's been
Ah,
going really, really well. She's 11
congratulations.
months yesterday. Thank you so much. So that's it's the biggest blessing ever. I'm just enamored with being a dad. And then you
Mm.
mentioned 1 o'clock, so it is 9 a.m. in New Jersey, and
hmm
we thought we were out of the woods when it comes to getting through the winter with no snow. But today, allegedly, we should be. It's starting to snow right now, actually. So we're getting what they call
Whoa.
the northeastern,
hmm
snowstorm. I don't know how bad it's going to be, but part of me is kind of excited because Kayla, my daughter, will get a
hmm
chance to, my wife and I were talking about taking her outside today and doing that type of thing. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
amazing.
I'm doing well, doing well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Mark, you and I had an incredible conversation a couple of years ago. I just told my wife just now, she's kind of funny. I said, "Hey, Jess, wish me luck. I have a interview just now, or an interview coming up." And she was like, "Okay, good luck." And she's like, "Is it from one of the gadget things like that?" Like she doesn't know this world too much. I was like, "Well, not
hmm
quite. It's not technically for gadget. It's actually for koala." But she wished me luck, and she told me, I told her sometimes before certain guest spots like these where I know after it's done that people are going to watch it, like a good amount of people based on the previous conversation. I want to do more of a good job than ones that I do a little bit more for fun, if that makes sense. So I have those
hmm
little butterflies, little flutters in my stomach, but it's a good thing. It makes me feel like to be sharper and to and
Yeah,
to to do a good job and everything. And
for sure. It
so
keeps you on your toes.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So the way I wanted to treat this, I've mentioned to you before we started recording. The way I wanted to treat this is, we have the catching up and the what do you call more conversational piece that we did the first time, where I got to
hmm
meet you for the first time and vice versa. And it
hmm
was an incredible conversation. So I'll certainly link that below for folks who maybe didn't see that. But for today, I have some questions that I wanted to ask, and it looks a little something like, actually, here we go, a little something like this. So we'll try to
hmm
get through as many of these as
Okay.
possible. And I want to actually start with, I wasn't sure where I wanted to start, but I want to start with one that I bolded on here because it just made me laugh this morning on Facebook.
Uh-oh.
It's a good one, and it's one that as a content creator you can't get offended. Me, I'm talking to myself. You can't get
Okay.
offended by things like this, but I feel like some people might. So this person asked, ask him why he lets clowns like you interview him.
Oh, I mean, like, yeah, I've sort of said before, I don't really do marketing. There's like side effects of doing stuff. Like, I mean, you're a nice enough person to talk to, and like, you've
Thank
sort of
you.
been very helpful in the past, and like, it's good exposure. It's like low effort on my part, which is really good. I
Totally.
know I know the sort of the lengths you have to go to make videos. Like I said, I don't do marketing, but I make tutorial videos for Koala, which I've kind of
Sure.
even stopped doing those for now. Although I'd love to return to them, but like they do take a long time to assemble, even if the filming doesn't take that long, and you have to think about it. And like I don't have I want to just put all of my time into Koala. Like every minute that I'm working, I just want it to be making more features for Koala
Mm.
and not for doing. I mean, this is different. It's not work. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
just all I have to do is talk,
Talk.
talk.
Yeah.
I'm sort of off the hook of
Yeah.
the sort of promotional side or anything like that. So yeah, I'm grateful to have this spot, to be honest. So thank you.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I'm super thankful and grateful as well because, yeah, this is like a season for me where it's about doing things, collaborating with others where there's a clear benefit and value on both ends. And you just mentioned yours, and certainly from my end, mentioning how popular the first guest spot that I had you on was, and enough time I felt has passed, and enough changes with the app and changes in my life, and I'm sure yours, where it made sense to do this again. So I definitely appreciate that. And I didn't put the name of the person who put this, but this is someone in the Facebook group. He's not anonymous, certainly, or he or she, whoever it was. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. I had to include that in here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so a heavy hitter question. Here we go. I bolded this, or I colored this one red. So this one says, is Elf ever considering a hardware version of Koala? And would Marek consider collaborating with a company like PolyN to produce a perfect hardware companion? And then someone else asked, would he ever consider collaborating with Roland?
Okay, well, basically, obviously Koala does things that are quite similar to, the Polyend tracker or 404 or something like that. I think I even saw like on the Facebook group the other day that Koala is based on a 404, but it's just like not true. I don't have one. I have touched one. I think I saw one in a trade show or whatever. But like basically, even though they do like roughly the same thing, to make a business around making a piece of hardware is like massively different to making software. Software, like I could just make, add a feature and then I send it out and I don't have to like, get anything manufactured. I don't have to hold stock. I don't have to like invest lots of. It's very expensive to make hardware. Like the outgoings are huge. For instance, if you do have a piece of, like a plastic thing on your product and you need to mold it, injection mold it, you're looking at, starting cost is like 50 grand, it's very, very expensive. And whilst, I probably could sell quite a few, it would be like a massive risk. It would take me off of Koala. Imagine if, like basically I wouldn't be able to add a feature to Koala for 6 months or a year or something like that. If I was just concentrating on making the hardware. There's a lot of things that don't translate very well to hardware. For instance, like when you copy and paste samples by dragging them, how do you drag a rubber pad? So there's design issues. I'm sure I could come up with a good idea. But yeah, so basically my answer to it is like, it's so tempting, but it's so different and so difficult. In terms of collaborating, they were like, I met the guy who runs Polyend. My family's Polish. He's Polish. So when I went to visit Poland, I just went and visited him, and we had a really nice day. We spent like the whole day hanging out and
Wow.
talking. And he showed me all the stuff, all the prototypes and stuff. It was so exciting. And like I don't know, like it would be cool to collaborate with. Like, I think they've got really like high quality. I much prefer it to the Roland stuff. It's really nicely put together. But I don't know. Yeah, it's sort of where the incentive is like a little bit complicated because he could just make something. I know there's the sort of Koala brand or something like that, but yeah, I don't know how valuable it is to him or them. And like especially for Roland, it would just be like cannibalizing. They've got a product that's competing with Koala in a way. Like if I make a physical manifestation of it, all they're doing is like, moving sales from one product to another. It's like it's
Sure.
not. It doesn't really help them. Maybe I don't think it's a really good match, but maybe a company more like Novation, who are like in the controller space rather than also having. They don't have a sampler, for instance. I don't think so. Anyway, they do have a few synths, but like they're like in the controller game, and they even like the launch pad and stuff like that. So they've got the expertise and the cash, and I do know a bunch of people at Novation as well, but yeah, I haven't got strong motivation. Like there have been, I have had these ideas of like making one-offs or like commissioning one-off MIDI controllers like for Koala. I don't know if they would be like for sale, or maybe it would be like plans or kits or something like that. Maybe like to test the water. I don't know. It's always good to make one and see how it goes.
Sure, sure.
That's a thought. But again, there's problems. You have like how the effects sliders work is that um, they work when you're touching them, and when you let go, they stop. Like unless you've got the hold button.
Sure.
And how do you replicate that sort of sensation? You can use motorized faders. You can use faders with capacitive touch. This is starting to get very expensive. So, or you could have a fader which is just a touch fader without any mechanical knob, but then you might as well use a touch screen and Koala's already on a touch screen.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's complicated. Sorry, that's my long answer.
That's an amazing answer, I must say, because it's super well thought out and super well explained. It wasn't a yes or no. It was this is the thoughts in my mind, because certainly you've thought about it. Certainly you've seen people probably like talk about it and stuff. And so there's just like any big decision, there's like reasons to and reasons not to. I love what you spelled out, with regards to Novation. I've had a chance. Have you heard of what's it called? The off-grid MIDI controller. Have you heard of this one?
Yeah,
Maybe,
yeah,
right? So I think they're discontinued. I spoke to the developer not too long ago. But when I had a chance to use that to me was, I think, the closest thing to what I envisioned to be able to get some tactile feel with Koala, while maintaining sort of a just very easy, wireless specifically. Like, I'm a huge proponent of wireless things as opposed to having to connect, especially with the iPad, and then you have dongles and all that kind of stuff. I just don't. That kind of takes a little bit away from the creativity for me. So it's cool. It's cool that you're thinking of it. And then I love what you said too about not to just reiterate everything so we can make sure we get to the other questions, but I just want to pinpoint a couple things, just about the time that it would take you away from updating the app, which if you were to poll 100 or 1,000 Koala users, I think towards the top of the list of why, not just why they love the app, but why they love and appreciate you, is the fact that we get these surprises, these drops that happen every so often. That's a really, really just beautiful thing. So next question I want to ask you is, like, how often do you see what people, and this is actually a question from me, not on the list that I just thought of, how often do you see people making content for Koala, whether it's tutorials, whether it's, beat making videos, stuff like that, and like what sort of inspires or excites you when you see this being done with the app that you created?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, so I see that every day I see people making music with Koala on the internet. But like actual content like tutorials and stuff like that, I used to, scour YouTube for it, but now I don't so much, because there's quite a lot now, which is good. I would say the most exciting ones are, there's a few videos where people have made like physical controllers for Koala, which I really
Oh,
like. I sort of
cool.
want to encourage it a lot more.
Yeah.
I sort of offered to help some people doing it, and sort of didn't really get back to them. But like,
hmm
I really want to encourage that more. Yeah, I guess like the silly videos as well, like people sampling weird things around their house. It's like, I guess it's a bit gimmicky, but I like it. Uh, yeah, and I guess it's like, yeah, tutorials where the person really understands or shows me something new. Like
Yeah.
part of the way Koala hopefully is designed is that it can be used in ways that I wasn't expecting it to be used.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so if I see that, I love that, because that's like, like when I was designing Koala, I watched a lot of people making music in Ableton on YouTube. And this is an observation I had, was that some people use Ableton in like very weird ways that you would never expect, and it's like natural for them. Um, Even people creating feedback loops by like sending a sound to itself and like putting weird things in the, it's just, some magical stuff basically.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think one of these videos for me was like, I saw someone create like a tutorial on how to just create like I guess, I don't know if it's a basic sine wave, but just like a basic sound by recording anything, making the length of it as small as it can possibly be, looping it, and then I think maybe enabling hold or something, and
Hmm.
then you have this like test tone, and then you could put like your effects on top of that. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is really cool. Like this is the stuff
Mm,
that kind of excites me, as well for sure.
yeah. That's called single cycle waveforms.
Yeah, yeah. There you
Cool.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. That's exactly right.
Mm.
All right. So, how do you decide which feature requests to try and implement? Because I'm sure you
I
get a lot.
don't I don't accept feature requests. Like I let people make feature requests, but it does have like, a bearing or an influence on me, but I do not choose what people suggest to me. I'm
Mm,
sorry, I'm a dictator
mm-hmm,
and I just decide freely what I think should be added. Uh,
mm-hmm,
it's a lot of it is based on need, but like the thing is, as a designer, if you just do what your users tell you, it's going to be terrible. You need to like work out why the person is asking for the thing,
mm-hmm,
and you need to understand the problem and not accept someone's solution.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, sorry, like
That makes sense.
um yeah, my solution there is I'll listen, but I always go off my own page, if that
Mm-hmm,
makes sense. And I go off like I sort of have a roadmap of Koala for like 2 years,
hmm,
and it will change. I think
mm-hmm,
something like the split stems thing, that just like I wasn't going to do it, and then I just I was thinking about. I mean, I had no plans to do it, let's say,
mm-hmm,
and then it just sort of, and then I was working on other things, and then it just came along, and I just thought like, oh my god, it must be in a sampler. There's no sampler with that in it. There was no sampler with
mm-hmm.
it in it, and I was like, that is like a feature that every sampler should have. It's so cool. It's like you sample some music and then you can just take the drums off it. Of course, you should put it in the
Yeah,
sampler. So I just
sure.
sort of thought I'm going to stop everything I'm doing and I'm just going to work on that until it's finished. And it only took like 3 weeks or something like that. And then
Wow.
obviously 6 months later, Serato put it into their stuff and
Mm-hmm,
then made a big big marketing
mm-hmm.
push behind it or whatever, and everyone knows about it. So I guess because I've just released the EQ, I imagine that Serato Studio will get graphic EQ sometime in like 5 months or so,
Yeah,
and make a
probably.
big song and dance about it.
That's yeah, more than likely. I mean, we'll be able to look at this video 5 months from now and kind of see that come to fruition, I suppose, huh? All right, and I like what you said too about okay, so feature requests versus you kind of not saying that this request coming in is going to be implemented, but like looking at why they're requesting that, and then
Hmm.
you coming up with how you and you said you're a dictator, I guess in that sense, right? Like how you think it makes sense to overcome that limitation, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. Like basically, there's you just some requests come in and they're like you think about what they're trying to do and like why they want to do this thing. And you think this is a very niche scenario,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and in that case, it's like I'm not saying I have to forget about it, but like niche scenarios aren't good sort of use cases for Koala because it needs to stay simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't basically make the majority of users suffer in order to help one
Mm-hmm.
person. Like let's say put a button that will like let's say if you like five divisions to a beat,
Mm-hmm.
like rather than triplets, like quintuplets,
Mm-hmm.
like most people would never ever ever use that.
Mm-hmm.
And to add that onto the screen space and take up some real estate that could be better just used for extra space or for another kind of button that's more useful, like
Mm-hmm.
why would I add that? It's
Mm-hmm.
just it would hurt more people than it would help, if you see what I mean. So I'm
Absolutely.
very
And
conscious of that as well.
when it comes to the iPad versus the iPhone too, I've been speaking to several people lately who like I've almost exclusively used Koala on my iPad and
Hmm.
iPad Mini, but I've spoken to a lot of people who use it on their iPhone. So when you talk about real estate, you're talking about just a much smaller situation there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes total sense.
Hmm.
So you answered that already. So someone said, "How does Mark, or not how? What does Mark do for a living? Is Koala your full time thing?"
Yeah, yeah, it's full time now. It
Mm-hmm.
has been for about, I think, about 2 years or something.
Mm-hmm. And then how are you sort of managing in this post pandemic world as a mostly one man shop with a huge growing user base?
Yeah, it seems to be going well. I've just got like sort of ambitions of features that I want to add, and I just can't do it fast enough. And I have got one guy who's helping me out now. But it's still there's just like there's too many things like this. I've got a lot of things I want to add. Hopefully, a lot of them will come out soon. But it's slow. Got it. Like the more complicated it gets, the more difficult it is to add like the simplest thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. You said 3 weeks for the split stem feature. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's like an open source thing, so I just had to work out how to jam it into a phone. So it already
Oh,
worked on a computer in
okay.
a language called Python.
Okay.
Um, but in order to run it on a phone, it has to be in C++, which is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a different language. It's a bit more. You have to write a lot more code, but it's not like a really complicated algorithm. It's
Mm.
funny.
It seems like it
Um,
would be, but it's not, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The clever bit is how much it's been, it's been trained on lots of music. So the
Mm.
algorithm has been fed lots and lots of songs with like all the stems already separated, and then it kind of learns like, okay, so this is what just the drums of this track sounds like, and this is what just the drums of this track sounds like, and then it
Mm-hmm.
learns how to separate the things. But to actually run the algorithm, it's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Someone asked, what upcoming features are you able to tease?
None.
Perfect.
Like,
Next question.
yeah.
Look, moving on. No, actually, and then that same person said, I know Mark is going to say none, but you have to press him a little bit more to at least give us something to, let me see, at least give us something to wet our teeth. Please, Mark, you're the best and we love everything you do. If you can just give us a little something, that would really make my day today. Thank you so much for everything you do. And Khordmaster, you're amazing. You're an amazing person. We love you very much for doing these interviews with Mark. We think that you guys work really well together on an interview thing.
Great. Yeah. Still a pass. I've got loads of features that I haven't really like. They're not finished basically because I can't work out where to put them on the screen. It's nothing to
Gotcha.
do with like the sort of level of difficulty of programming or time it would take to program. It's really about spending a lot of time to design
Mm-hmm.
them
Mm-hmm.
without like ruining Koala. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's loads of features that I still haven't started, but there's a lot of features that I've definitely started, and I'm trying to stick them all in the same place so I can kind of work on them all together.
Sure, sure. So
But I
like in
won't tell you
order
what they are.
Gotcha. In order to use, the iPad has a ton of just amazing music. Let's say synths, right? Like
Mm.
soft synths on the iPad. And in order to use those sounds within Koala, there's a need to like have another app involved. I think like AUM and routing and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So in order to like I guess the best way to ask the question, in order to like implement a way to bring those sounds directly into Koala with like me launching Koala and then now getting these Audio Kit or Moog or whatever sounds within there so I can like use those.
yeah.
That sounds like a awesome thing that I would love personally, but I
Hmm.
wonder like I wonder if that's something that falls into that category of making making Koala something that it isn't, right? Now it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's still a sampler, but now you're talking about sampling synths that are on the iPad already. Is that like a route that you think makes sense to go? Enough demand for it, or keeping it kind of in its lane and not
Mm.
jumping into integration with other apps.
I think like it's definitely something I've like entertained. I haven't really worked out what how I'd want to do it. I think, um, I guess the way that I make music, I don't use like any of those things. I don't really use the like plugins. I've got a few, but in general, I just use sounds.
Mm.
Um,
Sounds from
and
like
then obviously,
from the microphone, like that type of thing, or
well,
sounds.
samples like WAV files,
Okay, okay,
Yeah, like samples.
gotcha.
So like sampling actual instruments, I don't have a strong like motivation to do it, but obviously that's I can't sort of look at my own use and decide that that's how other people should use it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like yeah, it is Koala is a sampler. So if I added AUV3 instruments or something, it's like, well, what is it? What is it now? Is it a
Hmm.
sampler? Maybe
Hmm.
maybe that's a different product. I mean, if I ever got to work on another product. Um,
Hmm.
but like, yeah, I mean, it's something I've thought about. I haven't really arrived at anything, and I think basically at the moment there's so many other things to work on that I'm not going to think about it yet because I'm pretty sure the other things that I'm working on or have plans to work on will be more beneficial for more
Hmm.
people.
That makes
I
sense.
know, like it's the thing with like music. Um, iOS music scene or whatever is people want audio units to work inside their plugins, and they kind of want like
Hmm.
Drambo to work inside AUM, and then they
Hmm.
want AUM to work inside Drambo, inside AUM, inside Drambo, inside Loopy Pro, inside Drambo, and it's like
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah, 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 yeah.
like it's quite fun. Yeah, Drambo like will host audio units, or it can be an audio unit that you host in another app,
Hmm.
because otherwise you just get so much like yeah, I think get they get quite a lot of requests for things like that. Audio
Yeah,
developers
for sure.
make everything a plugin and make everything pluginable.
Yeah, and it gets a little for me. Like I love the simplicity of having either one app or having one piece of gear and kind of working. And it wasn't always this way, but currently I do. Working within the what people call confines or limitations or whatever, but like
Hmm.
using the app or the product and using it for what it is, and rather
Hmm.
than saying, "Oh, I wish it had this or wish it had that." But there are like some like right yesterday, I was at a coffee shop yesterday, and I was using. I haven't used Koala as much as of late. Actually, there's
Hmm.
some news, or I haven't used it as much lately. But I've been inspired to dive back in. There's an individual I'll give a shout out right now. His name is Arion, and he
Hmm.
goes by Air ERRE, and he's been making stuff with Koala that is
Hmm.
just incredible and like
Hmm.
mind blowing that he's able to make stuff in there that sounds so good and so interesting and using all the features that you've implemented the split stem, the EQ. He made some videos on how he's using that and
Nice.
stuff. And so I've just been feeling inspired. I'm like, okay, well, I know that the reason like when I was using Koala a lot more often, the
Hmm.
the the thing that was preventing me from like making something that like is a small musical idea into something that's like sounding incredible in my opinion was my lack of knowledge on how to effectively get a song that I'm sampling in Koala and then be able to like add drums to it so everything sounds in time. You have
Hmm.
warping, you have auto stretch, you have all these features in there that I just haven't dove in and like fully understood yet.
Hmm.
So to that point, what I've been doing is spending a little bit more time with that, but also I've been using, I know it's kind of two different ends of the spectrum. I keep looking over here because it's sitting here, but I have like Koala is supreme for sampling for me. There's nothing else like you mentioned earlier, the touch screen because I learned how to sample on Koala. There's
Hmm.
no sort of, idea that even makes sense for me to like use Ableton to sample and then click and drag. Like I hate it. I hate that, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Same with my OP1. I have my OP1 field here that I've been
Hmm.
spending a lot more time with lately, but the sampler in this, it's good, but it doesn't even compare to what Koala is able to do.
Hmm.
So yesterday in the coffee shop, to get to my long-winded point, I've been using the two together, right? I've
Mm,
been like looking at all these sort of musical ideas, and I have, I don't know, 14, 15 gigs worth of songs over the years that I have on Koala, and just like recording some of these ideas to tape and
mm,
then adding drums and adding other sounds like the synths, because that's like my world. It's less sampling, more synth based and stuff like
mm,
that.
mm,
And I'm like, okay, this feels incredible to me. So there's a
mm,
scenario that for me personally, it works very well because it's still very simple to just have, one sort of connection between the two, like sending audio in. And I
mm.
was I was jamming, man. I had
Nice.
like a little mini rig there. I had my iPhone. I was live streaming it. I had people walking
Mm.
in. You can see on the in the video and people commenting like what coffee shop are you at? Like my local Starbucks would never let me do something like this. I'm like, yeah, I have a good relationship with the people that work there, and it's so fun, man, to have a way to make music mobily in this small form factor, and you can do it
Mm,
outside of
mm,
the studio. It's one of the most just beautiful and just enjoyable things. And I've had many conversations with people who are just like, yes, like I prefer making music outside of the studio now because I'm able to with no compromises, really, right? When you think about it. So thank you for that.
mm. Of
Um,
course.
yeah. So, all right, here's a question for you. So, I think this is different enough than the one that you flat out refused to answer. But I think it's a good question, a really good question. So, what does Marek hope to see with Koala in a perfect world? At what point is Marek like, and yep, that's the complete product. No need to make any more changes.
Mm. Um, I feel like I know all the features that would go into it,
Mm-hmm.
but but I think down the line it will change. I think I remember I was just talking to someone today actually about it. Like about 2 years ago, I thought Koala's probably got about 2 years left in it. I mean, like of work, and I
Mm-hmm.
still feel like it's 2 years away.
Hmm.
But maybe it'll always be 2 years away. I don't know. I feel like it could never stop. It could just keep getting deeper and deeper.
Hmm.
Um, and like in the sort of 4 years that I've been thinking about it, there are like there are so many ways in which it could become this like very deep rabbit hole of like on the surface it will still look like if you open up Koala, it pretty much looks it's very similar to the day it came out,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but if you have Samurai it gets a bit deeper and some of the things that I'm going to release it's going to have a lot more things in it that you wouldn't see on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, a piano roll. You don't even know the piano roll's there until you double tap on a sequence.
Sure.
But yeah, so things like that are going to get much much deeper.
Gotcha. I have a question about the so the different effects that are on Koala, and this is another
Mm-hmm.
one not on the list here. So when you're recording via the microphone, you have
Mm-hmm.
your I think 8 effects on on the first
Oh yeah.
page: octave up, octave down, reverb, bit crush type thing, stuff like that, robot, bass, synth, all that. And then on the other like performance effects page, which I love, and a lot of people I'm sure love. That page is so fun to use. You have these different effects, some of which the same reverb I think is
Mm-hmm.
mirrored there, but then you have pitch and all this other stuff. So I guess my question is, there have been times where I want to record my voice or something, via the mic, and I want to record that using one of those other effects and not because I
Mm-hmm.
never really even use those 8 effects on the front page.
Yeah.
I just never use them for whatever reason. I don't know how many people do, how often they do, or whatever. I haven't asked those questions. But I guess my question, like, in order to do that, I feel like I need to first record to a pad and then noodle around on that performance page to find what I like, hit hold so it stays there, and then resample it in the menu. Is
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
the right? And then it resamples to a pad that updated version of the
Yeah,
file,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's the only way to do it at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like this is the thing. It's like I could make it so there's more complicated routing like that, as in send the microphone to the mix effects and then into the sample. The problem with it is like have to explain that to the user. And I have done a few, like there was like a little sort of beta version of some other kind of effects routing where you could route
Mm-hmm.
an effect to just strawberry effects or to the vanilla and strawberry effects. It was like you could choose the effects bus. It slipped out by accident,
Hmm.
and basically, I thought it was like it made quite a lot of sense to be able to like send, decide where you send your sample, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people were like, I don't understand that. That's really confusing. So I
Hmm.
know that making routing sounds around and being
Mm-hmm.
able to have this kind of option, it's like it's complicated for a
Mm-hmm.
user to understand. So I'm nervous about doing things like that. I like to be honest that those input effects, they're like uh, I could do something with them that's more interesting. I could make them editable, or I think when I first made them, I was like. Uh, that it were just like easy effects that I could make off the top of my
Mm-hmm.
head. They weren't like
Mm-hmm.
fancy. Yeah, they weren't well thought through. It's pretty much the only bit of Koala that's not really been sort of gone over that much and really thought through. I don't know if you know about them though. Is one thing I have done is if you press on one of them, some of them they open up. So there's if I press and hold on to that one, yeah, slider comes up and you can like control things. So like the
Oh
pitch ones, you can
shoot!
set a pitch if you want. So not all of them do that. Some of them do that, and it's like just a little hidden nice thing. So I think you can change the amount of
That's
reverb. You can
that's
change like the
wild.
robot one is a ring modulator, so you can change the pitch of the ring modulator. So it's like it's a bit more useful than not having it, but they're still not that useful.
All right, so you just kind of blew my mind right now because when it comes to something like reverb, I remember watching a video and I was just like, no,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna do that. It was like, oh, get in order to modify your reverb amount, you could record your how did they say it? You could basically like overlap a fully reverbed version and a non-reverb version, put it together, and it's
Yeah.
50%. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I mean, it's not even that much work either. It's just drag and drop or whatever.
Mhm.
But I was just like, I don't like that. Now, I don't know how many people don't know about this. I had no idea about this, and I'm about to use this a lot today to check this out. And you mentioned not all of them, but I just did a quick check, and 6 out of the 8 of them have this
Mhm.
available. That's why I'm very curious. I guess people who are watching this, let me know in the comments below. I haven't seen this anywhere else before, so I'm like,
Mm.
this is really cool. This is really cool stuff. I'm
Mhm.
excited about
There
that.
may be more things like that in Koala. I just don't remember.
Okay,
um,
okay,
it's
got it,
it's
got it, got it.
definitely yeah. Let me think.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe there isn't. The other one
Okay.
that a lot of people don't know is if you want to select a pad without triggering it, you hold the edit button down and then press the
Mm-hmm.
pad at the same time. And then,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to like if it's a loop and you don't want to restart the loop, but you want to turn the
Mm-hmm.
volume down or change the pitch, you can do that. Um, One day I'll make it so if you hold the edit button down and tap a few pads, then you can basically edit them all at once, like change the volume and pitch. I think a lot of
Gotcha.
people want that. It's I think also maybe they just put that on SP404. Not that I'm
Multiple
copying, but I
change.
think
Got
it sort of validates. I think that would be a cool, useful thing.
Well, if Serato copies you, then you can copy SB404. And also,
All
what
right,
about changing? I'm just, I'm just joking. What about well, and first of all, there's so much. I'm so glad we're having the conversation. Something keeps getting stuck to my hand here. Look at this, it's weird, like a little piece of
Ugh.
lint from my shirt, like I think, or hoodie or whatever. There's so much. What was I gonna say? Oh yes, so much. Like I just have the app open right now. So like when you look at things like your like the being able to change the background, first of all, that came first, and then change like the all those effects on the background
Mhm.
in this visual and social media world. That, by the way, I took like a 10 day social media like cleanse detox to
Very
start the
nice.
month,
Hmm.
and it was amazing.
Hmm.
I loved not knowing what everyone is doing. That's a very important thing, to like just not be. You only have so much real estate in our mind, like to be able to pay
Hmm.
attention to
Hmm.
everything. but I miss the connection with people, the genuine connection and stuff. So I'm like working on ways internally to kind of figure out that balance. But I say all that to say, like, the features to be able to just make Koala your own and not have, even though honestly, like the red background was plain, but it was like, it was Koala. It was like that exact red pinkish kind of color was, you knew that you were using the app. But yeah, to be able to do that is just, it's really cool. And even like this ring one that, I don't know, I'll turn the volume all the way down, but like this ring one, like it's really cool looking, man. Sorry for like the light, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's an image of me, and then you got like the ring thing kind of going on there.
Yeah,
It's
my
really
friend Felix, like basically, my plan was to try and encourage people to make their own effects because it's in a language that it's called GLSL, and a lot of people know how to use this. It's like a visual programming language.
wow.
Well,
Okay,
like a programming language for visuals. It's not a visual. It's a text. You type text, and it creates visuals. So people can actually make their own effects, visual effects plugins.
wow,
And but no one did. So I asked my friend if he would do some, and I said I'll pay him for it, and he said yeah, I'll do it for free anyway.
wow.
He's called Felix Fair, and he did three of them, and they're really nice. He did
Yes,
another
they
one
are.
which is I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it's called Rings, and it's like
Yes, with the
yeah,
different ring.
that's
Yeah,
it's like it's
that's
very different kind of style. And then
yep.
there was like one I can't remember what it's called. Maybe Blinds. It's where it's just like
Mm-hmm.
slits. And that one I think. It was cool. I'll probably put some more in one day as well. Maybe some more audio reactive ones and some more ones that mess with the colors because there's only a couple that really mess with the colors.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Speaking of colors, are any ideas or any plans to allow the pads to be changed colors? Or would that make
Um,
sense, you think? Maybe it's a better question.
yeah, I mean, like there is like a problem that um there's like a the colors do communicate something to make it so you can um say make these pads one color and these pads another color is sort of fine, maybe like conceptually. So I might allow that. I think like messing with the color scheme I'm not so into necessarily
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, basically, it's quite a lot of work. Actually, it turns out to do
Hmm.
it, and it may introduce bugs and stuff like that. So I'm not in a hurry to do it. And also, yeah, like one thing I have a slight complaint with, like Loopy Pro, uses color as your track name, like as in sorry, like your channels are
Like,
specified by color, and I just thought
sure.
it's a little bit not cool for people who don't see color very well. So,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, interesting design choice. But like, yeah, maybe some colors will make their way into Koala. It's just that it's a little bit difficult to work out, to maintain like a good contrast with
Mm-hmm.
things. If you see what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you let people choose colors, then does it mean they'll make things invisible by accident
Gotcha.
or difficult to
As
see? So,
as someone who's not, I mean, I've taken C plus coding when I was doing engineering back in the day, which I hated, but not
mhm,
engineering, but coding, I hated.
yeah,
So I'm not really in that world anymore for sure. But it's interesting about the complexities that you mentioned as the developer. I
yeah,
would, as a non-developer, I'm like, oh, easy color. Oh, just boom, 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 and then you can do. But there's more, obviously, more to it to that
yeah.
than just
They're
some.
not variables. Yeah, they're not very.
Ah,
They're kind of like they're kind of they're within some geometry that lives on your graphics card. You can't just change a number. You
hmm,
you could change a number, but you'd have to like quit the program and start it again to make the graphics update. So
sure,
in order to make it so you can just sort of change it freely, yeah, it's a slight pain in the butt, I would say.
gotcha.
So like, and it's not like really really difficult, but it's not something I can do straight away. Have to
Sure.
make a color picker, and yeah.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So what about yesterday? I was actually looking for a song that I titled "Mama" because I
Mm-hmm.
Momma, and I was like, oh, I want to
Mm-hmm.
sample this into the OP1 in that coffee shop, and I don't think there's a way to search names, or is there?
No,
Not yet.
yeah,
Is that something that you've thought about?
Yeah, so the problem with that is the way Koala's made is it's not like it doesn't use the standard iOS or Android interface. So there's no
Mm.
keyboard. So putting a keyboard into Koala, like a
Oh,
screen-based keyboard is a bit
yeah.
tricky. And I
Okay.
think it kind of it really does need a search box. But I haven't decided there are ways of putting the native keyboard in, but it's a little bit like I've done it in the sort of like previous life, and it was always a little bit ropey. I think if you look at the way Beatmaker 3, like where its text input works, it's like also a little bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's I think you can't really select text and stuff like that. So I do need to work that out. Like one solution is to like actually make my own keyboard that would be the same on iOS and Android,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't. That also sounds a little bit fishy to me, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I want to do that.
Makes
It might,
sense.
yeah, yeah. So, but to be honest, I think you really, really should be able to search your samples, and it's really bad that you can't in Koala.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
yeah,
I was even thinking, I mean, I guess for sure sampled. I was even thinking more so, I guess, tracks. Like what I do, what did I do? Like to kind of organize them. I kind of like went through because I had like just a ton of stuff. Some save files had just one pad, on them, which was basically a throwaway. But I never wanted to delete it, which is probably not best practice. I probably should like clean it up a little bit better. And then some
mm,
save files have like full songs and like every pad covered and stuff. And so like I kind of went through and just like I guess drew an asterisk next to every one of the files that were something worthy, like that I might want to revisit or whatever. And so that's what it is. Like it's fine. You find a workaround sort of thing. Like Chord
mm,
Gadget, I use Chord Gadget a lot. Again, synth bass. That's like my more
mm,
primary way of making music, right?
mm,
And so for
mm.
me, when I want to, and now the snow is really coming down over there.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks actually really nice. I'm excited to bring my daughter out later. Um, when I want to change the name of a song, right? Say if I have a song, Core Gadget does something really interesting that I like, and I think Loopy does it too, where it can auto generate a title for a song because I
Yeah,
suck at titling songs. It's like
yeah.
I don't like doing it or whatever. So it's like it just does two random words, and then if I want to go back to that song, then I'm like, oh, now I have a name for this. There's
Mm,
a process that just is quite frustrating. You have to go into the song, you have to save as, so it creates
mm,
another version of the song. Then you have to go
mm,
back into the file and like remember the previous name for it and then delete it. I'm like, oh, I
mm,
can't just
mm,
rename this in here. But again, I'm not the developer, so I don't really know the ins and outs of doing these seemingly easy or simple
mm,
things from the user end. Could be a lot more involving.
mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Loopy Pro auto naming thing told me something a little bit. It generated something a bit inappropriate
Oh,
last time I was
wow.
testing. But I mean,
Okay.
I'm fine with it. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not everyone might be,
it's quite funny.
especially.
I think it's cool. Like I think it's like one thing I've always thought about. Hopefully no one will copy this before I get to do it. It's like using some sort of algorithm to like listen to the music a little bit and then try and make a like onomatopoeia of the sample or the sound. Like so
Oh.
I don't know, like try and like if it's got basically just try and use words to describe the sound of the track that you made and then call it
Hmm.
that by
Wow.
default rather than untitled. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be something
I
in there.
I think you just gave away a secret, so we'll just edit this out of the video, I guess, right? I'll edit this out. Oh, that's actually not a bad idea. I'll give you a cut of the money. All right, so I'll edit this
Nice.
out, and then I will. I'm laughing, but I would actually consider doing this for sure. I could make. And what do you think about this? Actually, here we go. I have a YouTube channel. All my videos on the channel are free. You watch ads, whatever, blah blah blah. I have channel memberships on my channel, which means that in order to watch certain videos, you have to pay $5 a month. That's the dollar amount that I put on there. And most of those videos on there are just like unedited,
Hmm.
just whatever type videos. But this video, I could technically do a part of this as the main video and like maybe one part. And then if you want to watch the whole thing, it's pay to play. Not the best idea, but
Hmm.
something worth considering though.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it all works. I'm easy, but I was going to say actually there is one feature that I'll tell you that I will release. Only because I meant to do it ages ago, and Ableton
Hmm.
have already done it now. So
Hmm.
I definitely was going to do it before Ableton released Ableton Note.
Sure, you were. Just
But
kidding. Just kidding.
you can tell because if you open up like every Koala file, every Koala song file is it's actually a zip file. So if you rename a Koala file to .zip instead of .koala and unzip it, you'll see that there's a preview. There's like a I don't it's like a 1 or 5 second preview of each song. So
Okay.
in that sort of load page, I do want it to have a little play button next to each one. And I just
Oh,
never really got round to it. And then when
gotcha.
Ableton released a note and they had it, I was like, oh damn, I should have got
Hmm.
it in there before. Now it looked like I copied them. Um, but yeah,
Gotcha.
for like a couple of years, it's been generating little previews of your song, and I think it's like
Wow.
the last sequence that you were working on, or something like that.
That's actually really cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So now you don't have to load the whole thing up. You can kind of
Yeah,
just get a just a glimpse, and then yeah.
exactly.
Man, I'm like I said it earlier. I'm just gonna say it again. Like today's gonna be a koala kind of day today. I'm gonna go to a different coffee shop. I'm gonna bring this. And today, maybe what I'll do, just because now we got this new but old feature of really customizing the input effects. I'm gonna
Hmm.
mess around with that today. I'm gonna mess around with that.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
gonna be good
see if you can
stuff.
find some cool stuff in there. I think the
Absolutely.
bass one, like there's the like the bass synth one. I think you can control the cutoff of the
Yeah,
filter on the bass
yeah.
synth. I think that's what it does. I can't remember to be honest. It's so long ago
It's been a
since
while ago.
I last touched it. So.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right. So I wonder about. Okay, I might. All right. I'll just say it. Like on Twitter, and I don't want any information. I mean, I do want, but I'm not going to ask you for it. But on Twitter, you posted you had a reply to someone's comment about something crazy that you were working on, and I don't know if you remember posting this. Maybe about 4 months ago or something like that. I just happened to
Mhm.
see, and it just got me like I was very curious about it. But
Mhm.
you can't say. But maybe you can like just say you can confirm that yes, I am working on something crazy that you guys are going to be like, oh snap, like this is some crazy. I'm not even going to say
Mhm.
it, but I was going to curse, but I'm not going to curse. Let's keep this
Uh,
PG rated. But
mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
can you confirm that this is indeed true?
Which
Or do you
thing?
remember? Do you remember tweeting this or no? I don't know. You
What
might tweet.
thing? What did I say?
Yeah, so let me try to actually recall exactly what it was, and what it was in response to. I'm probably not going to remember. Honestly, it
Mhm.
might come back to me towards the end. Maybe this is poor journalism research. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
This could have been something I could have researched a little bit beforehand. But I just remember it was something that you were like it was like a little Easter egg or like a little teaser, like, oh, I'm working on this thing that will be able to do something, but you didn't give any specifics, but you just
Okay, I
confirmed
did.
that it was something.
There was this thing that I mentioned. This thing called quantum looping,
Mm-hmm.
which um, I don't know.
That's what it
I think
is.
I know what it is. Um, well, I have some. Yeah, I've got like some demos of. I can't really. I don't want to give it away because I think it's like something that good sampler apps or samplers should copy.
Mm,
So I don't want to like give it away before it gets released.
sure. Fair.
It's quite cool. Like I'm quite into like I don't really understand it, but I'm also quite into quantum physics or whatever. I don't understand most of it, but I read this book which is about quantum loop theory or something, and that's like a thing.
Hmm.
Oh, quantum loop gravity.
Hmm.
That's as I understand it, it's like one of the sort of leading theories of like what the universe is made out of. And I
Hmm.
just love the idea of like quantum loop. I don't know exactly what it means, but I'm just going to
Hmm.
call this looping technique thing that I've got quantum looping. So that's it.
I love it. I love it. I mean, that's so Loopy Pro. I've used a little
Hmm.
bit. One of the reasons that I haven't wrapped my mind around using that app is because, and this is just maybe a problem with the way my mind works, but because there's seemingly endless customizable options on there,
Hmm.
I spend more time thinking about, oh, I need to make sure that my dream template is set up in a way that it's perfect for me,
Mm,
and less time just making music on there. And
yeah.
that was enough for me to just like, and I mean, if you watch, I dropped the video when it first came out. I have a great relationship with the developer there as well, Michael Tyson, and and I was so excited about it. And I see like Henny the Business, who of course he's doing stuff with that and stuff now, with his Beat series that he's releasing, and that's inspiring to see. But yeah, for me, there's like just a different philosophy, right? Total
Mm,
different philosophy with
mm,
regards to customizing versus like this is what it is, like work within these
mm,
again confines, or work within this is the way that it is. But
yeah.
for me, that seems to just work better because for me, I just jump in, and there's not any thought about should I do this or should I do this. No, I should just make music because
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of, a lot of people have their sort of setup. Like, let's say traditionally, in people making music at home, they'll have their stuff set up. So they have like, everything plugged in. They have their synths and drum machines all plugged into the mixer and the guitar plugged in. All that sort of stuff, so that when they want to make music, they just turn it on and just go for it. And like, I'm not saying you. It's sort of like with Loopy Pro, you have this option to like reconfigure your setup or whatever. I know, like it's sort of quite. There's templates are quite useful in that scenario, but it is a two-step process, which is like, for I guess for some people, probably me, not so great, but for other people,
Mm-hmm,
it's like it is amazing. I know people definitely in the iOS music thing, they love
mm-hmm,
customization things. That's
mm-hmm,
why AUM's really popular because you can kind of like build your own studio. I guess for me, I just see it as like it's a two-step process. I just want to go. I just want to
mm-hmm.
start doing the thing or whatever. I've always sort of liked having a setup that's already plugged in. I think like the main thing that I've got a drum machine upstairs, like it's an Arturia Mini Brute, Drum Brute.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love just turning it on and just making a beat on it and then turning it off, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my music making session.
That's it, right? Yeah.
Mm.
Love that. And so I say that because when you say quantum loop, and I'm not going to ask anything else about it, but I hear the word loop in there, and then I'm like, oh, excuse me. For me, the way that I love, like I have what is that called? The S, no, not SP. What is that called? The let's see, no, not SP404. Drawing a blank.
RC505?
Thank you. Yes, RC505, the
Yeah, I
physical
just
looper over
ordered
there.
one. It's arrived at the shop. I'm gonna go pick it up
Oh,
after.
did you?
I've never played with one, but
Yeah.
that's the thing.
It's it's incredible. I mean, I'm now wrapping my mind because I'm the person who has ideas in my mind, that like musical ideas that I want to be able to get down instantly, without
Hmm.
having to find the sounds for it. Just get like the musical idea started, and that lets you do that. Have you seen? Do you know what is his name? Mark Rebele? Have you seen this guy
Yeah,
with the hair with the robe? So you've seen him use this?
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, yes to that. I'm like, yes, I
Hmm.
love that
Hmm.
so much. And I have some of those capabilities. And like in
Hmm.
terms of being able to come up with something on the fly. So I'm learning how to use it, and that's a lot of fun. So I say all that to say, like, with looping potential loop-ish potential capabilities within the app is what I'm assuming what you mentioned has to do with. That's something that is immensely exciting. So we'll leave it at that as a teaser.
Okay.
But yes, that's awesome stuff. And we're approaching. I'm probably going to ask one more question here because we're approaching our hour. Um, so you mentioned about making music, which I know you
Hmm.
spend a lot more time making apps or developing this
Hmm.
app and making it better. But you do mess around with music, as you mentioned earlier. So like if someone wanted to like hear something that you've created, how can they do so?
I don't release anything, and like to be honest, like my relationship to like making music is like not making tracks. I sort of realized a few years ago that that's like it sort of stressed me out a little bit. There was an anxiety of like not finishing things and stuff like that. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty happy not finishing things. Like my favorite instrument is this over here, is the piano. And
Of course.
I sit down and I just play and like I just make something up. I won't record it. I'll just enjoy playing it, and then I'll forget it, and then I'll sit down again and play another thing. And same
Hmm.
with the guitar. I can't even play a song like from front to back, even though I've been playing the guitar for like 33 years or something. But
Hmm.
I just noodle, and that is like that's my musical outlet. Like the only music that I make, if you watch like any of the tutorials, I'll spend 3 minutes, or like any of the like Instagram posts with just like explaining a feature in Koala. That's music that I write then release.
Hmm.
That's the only thing that I release. Like it's just things for demos for the most part.
Gotcha. That makes total
So
sense. How long have you been playing the piano? That's also my favorite instrument.
yeah, same 33 years or so.
Oh
Started at the
wow.
same
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Although I can't really read music, that sheet music is my girlfriend's. She's like
Hmm.
incredible pianist. She's like
Oh,
grade
fantastic.
eight. I don't know. That's like yeah, she's excellent. And I'm like the complete opposite. I can read music very slowly, but like
Okay.
no better than someone having had very basic lessons and been
Mm.
playing the piano for like a month or something. But I've been
Hmm.
learning like jazz and reading lead sheets and doing chords and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes.
And just
Love it.
finding I can find things, I can play things in different keys, um, sort of quite naturally. So yeah, I'm getting into it again. I sort of yeah didn't like it when I was younger. Now I love it. So it's
Hmm.
good.
I started taking lessons again myself. I think you might be able to see. I have a Nord piano there, and so like
Mm,
even something so simple as I'm working on a Final Fantasy piece right there. So I started lessons about 4 weeks ago, and
mm,
just printing out the sheet music versus I'm used to using my big iPad, which is over there. Um, but having the sheet music physically there, taking notes on it
mm,
and stuff like that, it's a massive difference in terms of just the funness and the immediacy, if that's a word, of
mm.
sitting in front of the piano. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
like these two different areas, the sheet music is something that I am weaker in, and I'm getting better at it. And sitting in front
Mm,
of this instructor and having her read along this music here for the first time, and
mm,
watching me play, and like instantly, I'm sure your girlfriend can do the same, instantly being like, oh, why are you playing a D there, that should be a D flat. And like
mm.
it's not even it's like she's reading it as if I'm reading a book, and she's like, oh, why'd you say that's and or something like that. So I know how
Yeah.
to get better at that, which is like literally, and this is a tip for anyone out there who's looking to get better at reading. Is she said read every day, but you don't have to necessarily read, like play music every day, but literally have a book or have an app or whatever, and just like spend some time reading the notes like aloud or
Mm,
in your head or something.
yeah,
And that's something that I want to get to that point. So I know how to do it. But
yeah.
also lead sheets and jazz is, I love that. I love the chord progression. That's obviously why I named myself what I did. But yeah, that's really cool that you have that acoustic. I don't have an acoustic piano here, but this thing here, when I got my hands on this, it's like, and that, and what I mentioned earlier, the
Yeah.
looper over there and stuff, it's as a result of my relationship with a music retailer, Zounds, Zounds. Found my YouTube channel, we had some conversations, and so now I'm having a chance to get my hands on other equipment, and
Nice.
that specific is just like blowing my mind because I can't get
Mm,
enough of
yeah.
that, and I never use it with headphones. I treat it like an acoustic piano because it's
Hmm.
wooden, and it like it just it's yeah, it's dope. I'm loving it.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. But I just want to take a minute, man, to just say thank you again for taking the time out. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with our audience, people who are interested in the app, of course. And there's some nice things to look forward to with the app, and even for me right now, just gonna dive in. Hopefully, people watching this feel inspired too, if they've maybe put the app down for a little bit of time to pick it up and play with it, and explore these new things that were shared today. And one more thing that I'll share that I did a video on, but in terms of something a lot of people don't know, and you probably did a video on it. That's how I learned. But the ability to delete multiple samples together, so you can like press and hold the delete button and then tap the samples, and it'll just delete them. You don't have to like drag every time.
All
Are
right.
you familiar with that?
Cool.
You knew
Yeah.
about it? Of course you know about it, right?
Oh,
Or
to
no?
be honest, I've forgotten. Like, maybe
Oh,
I
that's
did
pretty
that.
funny. Okay, yeah. it's a really cool, quick feature in order to kind of organize stuff. So yes, thank
Mm.
you again. I hope you have an awesome rest of the day today, and I'm
Hmm.
gonna get straight. This
Yeah,
is
you
the
too.
mark of a good video. I'm gonna get straight to editing this like today. Like usually it's like, oh, I don't feel like editing. No, I'm gonna get this out soon. I'm gonna get this out soon for sure.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. Thanks so much for your time as well, and putting the video together. It's very welcome. Thanks.